First, I'd like to, we talked a little bit about the senior class. We had a small senior class, but they did a great job. They had some excellent leaders in that group, and of course had a record-setting player in Nelson Spruce, who is a phenomenal player, but just a phenomenal person too. And that's what I've been doing all day today, is meeting individually with all the graduating seniors and the rising seniors, but the graduating seniors, and those are enjoyable but sad moments too, when they walk out of your office for the last time, and then also hearing them talk about what they want to do in the future and finding out ways we can help them and different things. I got to make, got guys that want to go in the military, I got guys that want to go in the FBI, I've got guys that, of course, playing pro football. You got guys that are going straight into business and, working on different things to make calls for them, write recommendation letters. It's always an exciting time to see that and see their minds shift to other things. And it was kind of an enjoyable day and also a sad day at the same time. So I'll take any questions at this time.
Mac, when you go through those exit interviews, you said it's kind of a sad deal, I understand that, but I wonder, are guys very frank with you? I mean, if they say, Coach, I think if we did it this way, that might be better. I mean, how deep do you guys get? Oh, yeah, we talk. I talk to them about, how much I appreciate them and different things, and then I always ask, I want some straight feedback on, and then I do that with our players on our team now too. It's good. It's good to hear different things that they say, but so far it's all been real positive. They think we're all going in the right direction, and they're saying they like morning practices, they like these different things, and one of the guys said we need to maybe keep our schedule a little bit better because we had to change up our Sunday Monday deals. And I said, I would if we didn't get back in at 6 a.m. in the morning and y'all come back and practice. He goes, I hadn't thought about that. I didn't want to come back at 3. I was still asleep. So, but we do. I do get some good ideas and some good tidbits that I've used throughout the years. It's always good to hear from the player's perspective, too. And I talk to them about that all the time. But as they're leaving, they probably feel a little bit more comfortable saying things sometimes.
Coach, one goal, building programs is always you want to be better at the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. Do you feel like this year's team accomplished that?
I do think we improved as the year went along, even with all the injuries we had. I do think that we improved, but we didn't finish some of those games like we'd like to, and had some miscues. But I do feel like we're a better football team than we were when we began. I really do believe that. And then a lot of those guys are coming back. We're going to have a really excellently big senior class and a really big junior class. I think when you combine them together, the way I understand it, it's the biggest classes they've had since the 2001 season, which they had a great season that year. And so I'm excited about all those guys coming in. They've played a lot of football, and we also had some guys we thought were going to be seniors that are now juniors. Jeremy Irwin, Addison Gillam, those type of guys. So it's good for our future.
Coach, even at the beginning of the season, before the beginning of the season, was confidence and optimism.
Mm-hmm.
You really thought, in fact, you made a point, it wasn't just you, but you sensed that among the players. They thought they'd go to a bowl game. It's kind of a two-part question. When the losses mounted, were you and the players able to maintain confidence as a team? And I'm assuming the answer is yes. If so, how do you, now that the season's over, how do you maintain confidence in young men when the losses are mounting the way they did this year? Mm-hmm. How do you keep that confidence high?
Well, I think number one, the way they were playing in those games, the effort they always gave, the never give in attitude, the competitiveness, how they came ready to play. I think that showed that their mind was in the right place, their heart was in the right place. Also, on when we have our life lessons nights on Thursday nights, we had it on Wednesday night before our last game, and that's where the travel squad and the team and each senior got up and talked, and it was really interesting I didn't tell one senior what to say; they could say anything they wanted to say, and it was interesting. At least half of them talked about how far they've seen everything come, and how close we are, and how
frustrating it is to be that close and not get over the hump in more games than we did. But a couple of them even talked about being on the field when it was, I don't know, 50-something to nothing against Fresno at halftime, and they talked about a couple other games, and now how they're right there tasting being able to beat those teams, and we will eventually do that in our conference and more often. And they talked about Oregon games and the Southern Cal games when it was over before it even started. So I think that them talking to the young men about that, about how far they've come, and then all the guys sitting in there that are playing a lot realize it's a building process and you take the next step. And so I think that all year long they felt that, and they felt like their confidence was they felt like they definitely could win every game they played. Where I wouldn't have said that was always the case in the past. And they felt like that if they came off a loss or came off a win, they felt like they'd win the next game.
Coach, you talked about saying goodbye to the seniors and that sort of thing. Did you have any juniors or other guys who won't be returning?
No. Everybody's returning. As of right now that I know of, nobody said one thing to me about that.
Coach, how many scholarships are you working with, and what's your commitment total up to now?
Right now we're at, commitments are commitments. Hopefully they all stick. We're sitting right now at around 11 commitments, 11, 12 in that area. And so there'll be some guys, you always, I hate to say this, you always have attrition. There'll be guys that go through spring and decide they don't want to come back, that type of thing. So we'll sign a few more guys, understanding that happens. There's kids that transfer, decide to graduate early, or that type of thing. And usually that doesn't happen until about halfway through spring.
What is Josh Tupou's status?
Josh Tupou's status is he's planning on coming back to school in May, as of right now.
And will be back on the team in August?
Yes, and he'll be able to graduate in December, because he was way far ahead academically.
Coach, at the beginning of this season, there's kind of a stated goal from around the program of being able to reach bowl contention and be in that mix at the end of the season. Obviously fell short of that. Do you personally feel, I know we're realizing that we're early in the process of looking ahead to next year, but are you at all feeling any more pressure to make sure this program gets to that level next season?
I think you always put pressure on yourself. You always want to be as successful as you can be. And definitely every year we want to be able to win the Pac-12 championship, and we want to be able to go to a bowl and see where that takes us from there. Every year you as a coach or as a player, you're trying to reach the ultimate goals that you want to reach. And that's something that we're working for all the time.
Like you talked about this team trying to get over the hump, and it's been a difficult hump to get over these past 2 seasons. Do you sense it's more physical or mental or maybe both? And if you do feel there's maybe a mental hurdle this team is trying to get over, how do you approach that in the offseason?
I think it's all a process. It's a process of growing, and we've made progress. Okay. There's no doubt we've made progress. Have we made progress as quickly as we would like? You never do that. I don't think you ever do that. And I think that we're in the process of doing that. We're making progress, and our process is working. I think there's aspects in all games that could be mental, could be physical, could be a mistake here or an unbelievable play by them, and that kind of changes a game, so to speak. I think it's also the maturity of our football team, understanding the attention to detail and the heat of battle, which takes preparation and practice, takes preparation in how many games they've played now. So I think it's all a process that will happen. So I think it's a combination of all of that, and eventually it'll happen more often than it doesn't.
Would you ever think of employing like a sports psychologist?
We do have a sports psychologist, Chris Bader. He does a phenomenal job with all of our athletes and with our football team, and I work with him quite a bit on different things and different ways to approach guys, or different ways to approach the team, and different ways to approach different games. And he does an excellent job. I think he's helped us a lot and helped me a lot on he comes to our games, he sits in on our meetings, he hears what we're saying, so we can portray the right attitude to the kids. And I think that's why one of the things that helps our young men is we're positive with them, we're tough on them, and we're positive with them, and I think that keeps their resilience going. Because if it's always negative, you don't have much reserve to go have resilience. And I think that's why we're a pretty resilient football team and come back and play. And we'll get more of those wins this year.
Coach, I'll confess I was reluctant to ask this question during the season, but now that it's over, obviously the athletic director came out and said you would be back next year. Did you know that all along, or was there a time during the season where you guys had that conversation? And also, how much did it help you, or how much does it help you recruiting the people out there know you're coming back next year? And as a follow-up too, I'll ask, have you thought about any coaching changes?
Honestly, I don't ever think about my status as the head football. I'm the head football coach at Colorado, and that's what I want to do. And I'm going to work at it with everything I've got. And if I worry about everything else all the time, then I can't do my job effectively. You know, if a Mark Richt can get fired with 10 wins, one of the greatest men in our business, anybody can be fired. So you can't worry about that. You can't let it affect how you treat young people or how you work with other people in your office and how you work with your staff. No, I've always felt like, you know, Bruce Benson was behind, Phil DeStefano was behind me, and Rick George was behind me, 100%. Haven't ever doubted that or thought that. Of course, we all want more wins. We all want more. But I think they see the progress we're making. I think they see the process within our program. Of course, there's different things every year when the season's over and you look back and you refocus and you evaluate and you look at, just like you would in any business, you have to make different tweaks and look at what you're trying to do to progress your program. But during the heat of the battle, if you're worried about that, then you're not being an effective leader by any stretch. You're being a reactive leader. You can't be reactive. You have to lead with a process, a progress, a sense of self-worth, a sense of pride, and a sense of confidence. And I think if you're doing that, you're not. So I grew up in the business, so I know exactly how the business works, 100%.
And coaching changes, have you thought about that?
We're still evaluating everything, I am. And I don't like to make knee-jerk decisions quickly right after the season. So I'm still evaluating what we would do within our whole program from every phase of it, because it's all works interconnected. And I do know all our people work extremely hard and have a lot of pride of being here.
Coach Foreman's talked about the time that can get lost going up and down the hill for conditioning. When do you guys get to move into the new indoor practice facility, and can you talk about the benefits of that?
Well, yeah, the new indoor practice facility is going to be exceptional. It's going to be great. I mean, you walk right from the locker room, right to the weight room, right into the indoor facility, right onto our new practice fields that will be connected to that too. So I think that it's going to be a huge benefit for us this off season. And you also have a track around it, so there's a lot of advantages to that. I don't know the exact date we can move in there yet. I'm definitely hoping when we get back we'll be able to get in there extremely quick. I know that the turf is almost completely done in there, so that's a positive sign. And so, you know, they got the parking garage underneath and all those type of things. But I don't know exactly when they'll let us in. Hopefully, when our guys get back, we'll be able to go right in there then.
What are your spring practice dates? Have you set them?
Yes, we've set the spring practice dates. They're going to start after signing date. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head right now. And then we'll be done before spring break. So very similar to last year.
Question on Jaleel Awuni. With the way he finished the season in that role, and with Cepho being gone until when he gets back, does Awuni move back to linebacker for spring ball, or does he stay at?
That's something we've got to evaluate and look at and see, and also the progress of Cepho's foot would be a big issue in that also. But Jaleel did some good things when he came in the other day with the way we were utilizing him, and he was excited about doing it.
With Michael Atkins, Eddie Lopez, and Addison Gillam, is the process to get them a red shirt pretty simple, or is it similar to what you had to go through with Jared Bell last year?
Well, you apply for their red shirt when their time comes. You don't do it right now. So Addison would play next year, would be like his senior year, but knowing with he had a full year out, that they would apply after that season's over. And usually all of those go pretty smooth with the amount of games. They're underneath the games. They did all the protocol, but that's when you apply. You don't apply right now to find out. You wait till they finish the next season. That's how the NCAA does that.
Mac, you just got asked about the quarterback position. I
Yep.
imagine with here you've got a record-setting quarterback in Steffo who's going to have that foot issue and won't be around for spring ball, I imagine. You've got a young guy like Kate Apsay who got some valuable snaps. You got Steven Montez, who I know that you're excited about. This would really seem to be kind of an interesting stretch here on this offseason from a quarterback perspective in terms of what you're looking at and how you're going to evaluate these guys over there.
Yes, they'll get a lot of reps in the spring with Cepho out there on the actual practice field. They'll be in meetings and around. Those young men will get more reps, so that would give them more opportunity to improve. That would also give us more opportunity to evaluate. So that'll be definitely an interesting process there, and also give us a chance to look at some of their strengths and weaknesses, so to speak.
Are you recruiting a quarterback?
Yes, we are. We try to recruit a quarterback every year, basically, because quarterback's an interesting position.
How much time you've had to really think about this since Saturday, but as you look back at the season, is there anything that you just kind of kick yourself and said, well, I wish I would have done this differently or done this in a better way as a coach?
I've done that every Saturday. I've done that every Sunday, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday. We've tried to redefine different things, we take, after each game, we take notes of the game, of course, and log things away, how we would handle that situation different, how we would do that. And we ended up handling some situations different as the season went along. And you know, it's always easy to second guess, especially when you lose a game. It's always very easy to second guess. But you know, I'll go back. I'll watch each game over again. I watch the game like it's an entirety on film. So kicking game, just as the game would go, kicking game. If you went offense, defense, you know, where we are on the clock. You know, was that a good decision to make? Was it not? Sometimes if you're not successful, of course it's not, but it might have been the right decision even though you weren't successful. You got to kind of look at that. You know, would you kick an onside kick? Would you punt it there? Would you try to block the punt? You know, those type of situations. Because there's certain times you'd like to block a punt if it's over a certain down and distance on 4th and long. Certain times you wouldn't because it's under that. If you run into the guy, gets a first down. So all those issues we'll go back and look at and make sure I made the right decisions and go from there. And then sometimes in a game, you're watching the game and you're going, we're stopping them pretty good or we're not stopping them. That also goes into your decision. It's not just always just by the book. Sometimes you can tell, whoa, we're really tired. We're not going to probably be able to hold them, vice versa. And you kind of make some decisions off of that too. So I look at that also. And a lot of that's a feel during the game.
As a follow-up to that, though, is there anything specific that you look at and say, that you can tell us and share with us that you feel like this staff maybe didn't do as well as you wanted to?
Well, I think, of course, there's some things we didn't do as well as we'd like. But for me to sit here and say exactly what they are without going back over the whole season, looking at each circumstance, because there's different circumstances that happen in situations. So there's some areas we definitely need to improve on. There's some areas we made some big strides in. So I would just have to keep looking at that and say. But, I mean, of course we made some mistakes. But for us to specifically fix those mistakes and have a specific answer at this moment, that would be kind of off my cuff. Because I haven't been able to go through every game and look at all the situations. And then you have games where you have certain guys out. And so you're trying to do certain things to make up for certain guys not being in there. So that goes into it also.
I know that Dave let us know that here at the top of the hour they'll be announcing the All-Pac 12 team. Just a specific comment about Tito and Nelson being second-team All-Pac 12 guys.
First decision is I think they're both first-team All-Pac 12. No doubt in my I know, but I think they're first team. There's no doubt in my mind. You have the leading receiver in the history of the Pac-12. Of course, our team didn't win as many games as we like. I think if we would have won more games, they'd both be first team. But I think they're both first-team Pac-12 football players. And I think they would start on any team in this league, either one of them. And also, they're excellent students. They're excellent kids. I mean, they're big-time good students, and they're great kids. And really, they're not great kids. They're men now. And matter of fact, I met with Tito today, and we were laughing because I was meeting with him as being a rising senior. I said, "Remember when I first saw you play as a 10th grader?" "Yeah." So I've known him since he's a 10th grader. Now he's graduating. That's pretty special. And he'll graduate next December, and he's doing really well in school, so he's ahead of time. He'll graduate in 3.5 years, which is pretty cool.
Mike, when Nelson was in here, he was asked about the offensive struggles this year, and he cited a lot of the injuries, especially up front, as being one of the reasons. But he said something interesting. He said, I don't know if we ever were able to really put our finger on why we struggled, because if we would have, we could have fixed it. What's your assessment of why the offense struggled? And I guess do you agree with Nelson?
Well, I think we had different issues that happened at different times, especially if you're juggling your offensive line a lot. Okay, it's not an excuse; it's a fact. But we have to figure out how to fix it. The good thing about it is we'll have a lot of guys back that have played a lot. They'll kind of understand it. A guy who really improved as the year went along, a guy like John Lasella. I mean, he really improved, and now he's just a freshman. And next year he'll have all those plays on him. He'll get bigger and stronger in the off season. I think the other thing that hurt us at the end of the year, I think we were red hot in the Southern Cal game. I mean, red hot. And Cepho goes down. I could see it in their eyes. I could see the way we're moving the ball. He was throwing it accurate. We were running, and that hurt us. I think if he doesn't get hurt, I don't think you're asking that. I don't think we're asking that same question, to be honest with you.
Coach, were you at all worried about Tito leaving for the NFL, and were you relieved to find out that he's coming back?
No, I was not worried about Tito leaving for 1 minute from the NFL. I know his parents. I know what he's all about. I know he wants to get his degree, and he's ahead of time, so he'll have plenty of time to get ready. He's a great leader on our team. So, we haven't even I always discuss it with all our juniors a couple different times during the season, because there's these guys called runners out there that work for these agents, and they try to get in these kids' heads, which is totally wrong. So I make sure that I go over that with them so they don't make any wrong decisions that would make them ineligible. So I've talked about that with a lot of our guys over and over, and always do that. But I would, you never know. But I would think definitely he was going to be back, for sure.
Coach, Nelson talks about how Paul Richardson kind of patched the torch down to him, and now Nelson's kind of looking for a guy to pass the torch down to. You got Sheffield, Bryce Bogart, two great candidates, as well as Devon Ross. Are you looking for someone to really step up at the position over the offseason and kind of take the reins as the #1 wide receiver? It's going to be more of a group effort to replace Nelson.
I think we have some excellent receivers there, and Shea is one that was really having a good year again, and then hurt his ankle in the Arizona game, and it kind of hampered him a little bit throughout the rest of the season. I think Bryce is a really good player. I think we have a lot of good receivers that can make some plays and do some things. So I'll be excited about seeing who the guys that step up, and we'd like to have a few of them do that.
It's hard to replace Nelson.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to replace Nelson. There's no doubt about that.
When you have players who, at least from afar, like Devon Ross and Diego Gonzalez, who appear to have lost confidence, how do you get them to regain that confidence?
Well, you instill confidence in them all the time, and work with them. Diego's a rising senior. We met today and talked about a lot of different things. And Diego's a very talented young man, and he's got a big smile on his face. I'm excited about Diego's future. And you just keep working with them and keep going and helping them and going from there. Devon is a guy who's made some big plays, and has just got to keep focusing on his catching skills and keep working on that. So you just keep the process going. You keep instilling, you keep working, you keep pushing, you keep showing them, keep going, and kind of move the puzzle around and keep trying to find ways to help them. It's kind of never ending with all the kids.
Mike, the first couple of years you were here, injuries were not that big of an issue. This year, obviously, they were. Have you and Foreman talked at all about, is there something that you guys need to change in that regard, or was this just one of those fluke years?
Well, knees and broken foots, there's really not as much you can do about that, the way sometimes things happen. our off-the-field injuries are kind of crazy too, so I don't know how you really fix that. But you do get bigger and stronger, more physical. We're playing against good football teams, and we need to just keep getting more guys bigger and stronger, and then more depth we have helps us too, because you're going to have a few injuries here and there. And in some years it's just you're kind of lucky; you just don't have many. Hopefully this year will be one of those years.
Stanford or USC?
Oh, I have no idea. They're both really good football teams, and that'll be a fun game to watch.
Aaron Baltazar, do you know his status as far as coming in this year?
He won't be here.
Ever?
No.
More questions for Coach?
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.